Dunk Mama Media is giving a platform for you guys to tell your story, and it'll help a lot of people, whether it be student athletes, whether it be parents, whomever it may be. But we just gonna have fun, man. Like I'm gonna have you start off telling people your name, high school, college, and then we'll go from there.
All right, Justin Watts, C.E. Jordan High School, Durham, North Carolina. College, the University of North Carolina.
The university, huh?
Yeah, you gotta throw that D in there sometimes.
Got to with two E's. But
Mhm.
okay, being from North Carolina, being from Durham, Bull City, how was it in high school for your recruiting process? How was that like for you?
Um, well, a lot of people don't know I started playing basketball kind of late,
Okay.
and I think I played my first AAU game 15 and under, and it was by accident because Carlos Sanford, actually, who famous Lowe's 32 now, who is very popular on social media, he was going to try out for the Gators,
Okay.
and he needed somebody to go with him, and I was like, all right, I'll go with you. Um, and I went up there and ended up making the team, and it just took off from there. That's when I got my first letter from North Carolina. My first letter was from North Carolina. Then my first offer was from ECU, and it just kind of took off from there after, my first AAU game.
Mhm.
But being in Durham, it was, since, I don't know, maybe Courtney Alexander,
Mhm.
my high school really hadn't had that much attention. Like college coaches weren't coming to high school games in the Pac-6. So it was overwhelming. I was the first one in my family to really go through the modern recruiting process. My dad played, but it was in the 70s, so it was a different recruiting process back then, with all the different rules and how colleges recruited. But man, I like just all the schools in the triangle. It was State, Carolina, Duke, then even Wake, who was recruiting me at the time. Man, it was fun, but it was overwhelming for me at such a young age. 15, colleges telling you like, we want you to come, you can come play for us now. Here's a
Right.
full scholarship. So it was a blessing, man. Like I said, it was fun.
What was the decision that made you, or what was it that made your decision for choosing UNC?
I had always been a Tar Heel fan growing up as a kid. Um, but after you get a certain age, you're a fan, but you're not like that fandom that was 8, 9 years old, where you just stickers on your wall, et cetera, et cetera. But it was actually not to say by default, but it was kind of like, well, I'll just break it down to you. I had my last 5 were Illinois, Carolina, Temple, California, and Stanford, um, and South Carolina.
Okay.
And I had took a visit to South Carolina when Dave Odom was there, and one of my homeboys, Wesley Saunders, who plays football, but he played basketball in high school, but he had just signed there the year before, and he was tight end for South Carolina. So he was, gonna show me around everything. I had somebody there I knew. Um, Stanford was kind of late because Johnny Dawkins from Duke had left.
Mm.
He had just got the head coaching job, and Johnny has known me since, man, like since I was little. He done seen me working out with Pops in the gym, the local YMCA, Boys and Girls Club, everything. So I liked South Carolina. I loved Illinois with Webster and Tracy Weber, who was big in my recruitment. But when I came out, it was like it was a whole bunch of coaching changes. So Dave Odom got old and just told me like, look, Justin, I think I'm gonna retire. But the new coaching staff is gonna keep your scholarship, et cetera, et cetera. I'm like, people telling me you gotta be careful about going, somewhere where the coach didn't recruit you. So that kind of knocked them off. And that was right after my visit that I went. It was like 2 weeks after. My mom just didn't like Temple because it was smack in the hood. She wasn't cool with me going there at such a young age.
Right.
Um, Illinois, Webster, Bruce left, and Tracy left. Tracy went to Nebraska. Bruce went to Kansas State. So it came down to North Carolina or Stanford. So go up the street 20 minutes or go across the country where no one can go to the games like that. Family can't see you, So I ended up choosing Carolina that way, kind of. That's how I chose Carolina.
I think that's special in its own right, because for you to say your last two choices per se was North Carolina and Stanford.
Yeah.
Those are two schools that people dream about getting in, whether it be for sports, academics, whatever it be.
Yeah.
So you get to Carolina, you're a freshman, right down the street, and you win a national championship. You're a part of the national championship your freshman year.
Yeah, that was when I tell you, I mean, I still remember standing up there now and pointing, because my mom, dad, uncles, brother, his friends, I had like 7 or 8 tickets at the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember pointing to everybody once we won it. And I still, like, I can still remember it like I'm on the stage right now. Mm-hmm. And that jump was just crazy, because like in high school, I mean, I had won something at every level, but nothing of that magnitude. You know what I mean? I won a Pac-6 championship in high school. I won a middle school championship. But like, to go to college, and as soon as you hit as soon as I hit the campus, we champions. And I was like, I'm really here. I'm really like, and we were probably high off that thing for like 2 years. I know I was.
Easy.
I know I was.
So to go from, I guess, we all have, as athletes, we have a passion for the sport we play. But was there ever time, there's also times that's a part of the journey that a lot of people don't get to see. They don't get to see behind the scenes. They don't get to see what it took for you to not even just get to Carolina, but be able to be recruited by Carolina, Stanford, Temple. What was that process, even once you got to Carolina, that transition? Because for a lot of people, it's just like, I want to go to my dream school, or I want to go to a great school. But everybody doesn't know what it takes, including parents, what it takes for, so how was that transition going from a high school player to now a college player who his first year wins a national championship? And now mentally, possibly you might have 3 more years, depending on if you leave early. How was that transition going from high school player to national champion in his life? What's next?
Honestly, and I was actually talking to someone about this, actually Dom Artis. Know Dom Artis. Yes, me and him were chatting it up. He's in Greece right now. Shout out to him. We were talking and sharing each other. My story, just chatted up. We done got real close. We don't play with each other twice professionally. It was, I think the biggest thing for me was realizing that it's more out there. Because when you're young, you set these goals, but then when you reach them and you surpass them, it's kind of like, all right, well, I reached them and surpassed them, but I'm only 17, 18 years old. So I'm not done. I can't be done. You know what I mean? And it's being able to stay locked in and continue going. And I will say, maybe my sophomore year, it took me getting hurt and being out for most of the rest of the season my sophomore year, after kind of, starting my sophomore year in the backcourt and going from, freshman, he plays a little bit here and there, until sophomore year, now he's in the starting lineup. And now it's just kind of like, I've exceeded everybody's expectations. Right. Like in high school, my dad always told me to work hard. Him being a hooper himself, he knew like, this is what you got to do. But he had never hooped at ACC school, if you get what I'm saying. So it's kind of like you reach all your goals and you get so, not to say so big, but you do get so big to where you're surprising your family members. if you know what I'm saying. So now is no one really to pull you down and level you off. You know what I mean? You're floating. You're here. You don't want to ship. You're on national TV. Everywhere you go, people know you. And you're 18 years old, and it's kind of like, okay, let's bring it down because it's still more to do.
Right.
So I think being, injured, not to say it was a good thing, but it allowed me to come back down because nobody else was going to pull me back down because I exceeded everything that was set. Oh, go to school, be a top high school player, get a full ride. Okay, hold on. But now my son's in the starting five for the University of North Carolina.
You've accomplished all of those things in 1 year alone.
Yeah. And it's kind of like every time they see you, it's like, what's up, nephew? What's up? You doing it? You do it. And no one's telling you, we need more.
Mm-hmm.
We need more. We need more. Don't get satisfied. We need more. I don't care. We need more. So being not humbled, because I've always been humble, but getting hurt and then kind of like stuff coming to a halt for a second, it was kind of like, okay, all right, I can do more. I can do more. So it's very difficult, man. That transition, even being the man at your high school and then coming to a school where everybody was the man.
Right.
And I mean, you played there as well before me, but any guy on any given night, if you give an opportunity, can have a great game. Like, you know what I mean? Everybody's talented. I mean, it may be a small margin of talent from the one guy to the 15th guy. You know what I mean? Even some of the walk-ons can play. You know that.
Right.
So I think it's just being able to remain locked in. And, you're such a young age. You're talking about 17 to 22-year-olds. Literally almost living a rock star lifestyle. It's very difficult to stay locked in. That's probably the biggest thing.
I think that's dope that you brought that up because a lot of people who win championships, exceed expectations, they don't really have time to think and sit and be like, all right, wait. I kind of got to balance myself. I can't too high, So one thing that, of course we know each other. You've always been like a little brother to me, although we didn't play together. The one thing that is crazy just hearing you speak, Justin, is that you've always been this way. Like at 18, the way you are now, you've just always had a mature thinking and thought process about yourself. Leaving UNC, and I know a few of the places you played. Tell us about some of the places you played overseas after you left UNC, after you graduated from UNC.
Well, I first went to Turkey. That was my first job in Izmir, Turkey. And I went there and I probably stayed for about 3 weeks, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you. It was too much of a culture shock for me. I mean, just simple things as getting something to eat was very it was adding extra stress. So I ended up leaving there in the middle of the night, man. Crazy. Team, I was ready I was gonna sign the contract for 1+1. Team was gonna come, president was gonna come pick me up in the morning. And I called my mom and I'm like, look, Mom, I've been practicing my Turkish. I know how to get to the airport. I'm about to take a cab. And I leave in the middle of the night. I get back here and the team is calling my house like, we can't find them. We're gonna try to find out, do our best to find them, my agent. And my mom's like, oh no, he here. He okay. He didn't like it there. So from there, I went to Australia, in Brisbane, but it's really Rockhampton is where I was staying, but the biggest city is Brisbane. And ended up being a blessing, man. I won a ship there. Got another ring. Then after that, I went to Latin America. Then after that, I went to Japan, which I love. It's probably one of my favorite places to play. And then after Japan, I bounced back to Europe. I've had the opportunity to play, high-level European Basketball Champions League. Played in Lithuania, Switzerland, Poland. I mean, I've even played in Qatar, which was probably one of the worst places for basketball I played, as far as just they just don't play basketball the way we're used to playing it. But I love Japan. I love Amsterdam, and Australia is probably my top 3 places.
With you naming all of those places, and the first time when you went to Turkey, that was 2013, right?
Yep.
2013. For you traveling all of those places, because a lot of people, if we just being real, a lot of people like, oh, if I play basketball, I got to go to the NBA. If sad to say, I've had friends of mine throughout the years, few friends of mine out throughout the years who were very talented. And it's been some parents who felt like, oh, my child didn't get to the league. They failed. So speaking of somebody who went overseas, still playing overseas, besides, the pandemic we're in right now, what was it that kept you motivated that long? Because I mean, for anybody who's played basketball that long, exceeded expectations, probably set goals that you exceeded yourself, you have to kind of daily find motivation within yourself. What was the motivation that kept you going?
I think I've always just been self-motivated. More so, I know a lot of people put limits on you.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always had this inner battle of I'm doing it for the people who believe I can get to the goals I set, and I'm also doing it for the people who saying I can't do it. So that's really what drives me. I'm super competitive, even though I may not show it on the outside with emotion and all that. I take a lot of notes. Like I hear somebody say something and they like, he'll never, I don't, I'm not disrespectful towards them, but I'm mental note in the head, like, all right, so you saying that, all right, I got something for that. You know what I mean? But it was also too, I wanted to be able to say I gave something a shot. Like I don't want to look back after I'm done playing and say, well, I could have went over there and did what he did, but I just didn't want to do it. I could have got a shot at the league, but I didn't do it. So I was playing to ultimately get to that NBA opportunity. Still am, but I mean, as I was playing overseas every year, I was thinking about, okay, maybe an NBA team will invite me to a mini camp or a training camp or et cetera, et cetera. And just to say like, okay, I had a shot at it. So not to say, oh man, I could, you think I could have played this, you think I could have did that. So that's what's been driving me. I mean, obviously I've been invited to many camps and had the opportunity to go and play against guys that, me and them are in totally different positions. But I'm still ending up where they're at. But mostly it's doing it for the people that have said I can do it and the people who said I can't do it. It's like a very good balance. I don't let the negative outweigh the positive too much, but I don't, dwell on the positive where I don't hear the negative.
I think that's one thing that hopefully if people are paying close attention to this interview, they'll take away from it, if nothing else. Because even earlier you stated how you always wanted to be balanced. You didn't want to get too high off expectations or success. And I don't want to get too low on failures, whether it was or even downtime, an injury, or not knowing where I might be ending up the next season. I guess with this platform, Dunk Mama Media, which is like we spoke about it, of course, briefly before we did this interview before. But basically, it's a platform to give athletes an opportunity to share their story, but also athletes who are making a transition from the sport they played into possibly a whole nother career, whole nother market, or just changing their role or their position in their sport. And now instead of being, a player, now I might be a general manager. Now I might be a coach. So I know, of course, already because I know you again, but tell the people what you've been transitioning into as of lately. And you still play basketball, like you still have a lot ahead of you, but you're starting to make that transition in things that you see are opening up for you.
Yeah, I think I have about 3 to 4 more high level years left in me if, God willing, no injuries. No bad injuries. Take that away from me. But I've been doing this thing called Watts Happening, hence the pun on my name, Watts. But it was something that people have always said I was good at. Like I can come in the locker room and I can give a what if scenario, or I can get people to talking and debating and play devil's advocate very well. So I wanted to start it now because I didn't want to wait until I was done playing like a lot of guys do. And then you're done playing and then you're trying to figure out something so quickly to do. Most of the time you bounce around in a different field because you're trying to make a quick decision, or you just have an empty year to where you don't know what to do. You're sitting around. So I want to make that transition as easy as possible because, I mean, like you understand, that's really the most difficult part for us athletes. After we're done playing, it's consumed so much of our life that we don't necessarily, not that we don't know, it's just like, dang, God, I'm done playing. I got all this time. What is there to do?
What's next?
I'm not used to working for anybody. I don't have any work experience. Not that we can't do it. It's just like something is immersed your life so much from literally the time you can remember to the day you retire or the day you're done. It's a kind of difficult situation. And I've seen a lot of guys struggle with it. So that's why I started What's Happening, interviewing guys. I mean, it doesn't matter. I've had you on there. I've had comedians on there. I've had WNBA players, NBA guys. So basically just like what's going on in the world, like what's happening, like what's going on. And that's going pretty well, man. I've did 20-something odd episodes. I actually got one tomorrow with a young fella who's from Durham originally, but he's committed to Louisville. So that's going to be an interesting one because he went to JUCO and took a different route. But it's just always been something I'm good at other than basketball, kind of like you a rap. So that's just something I'm doing.
I think that's special, man. And I think that's dope of you to share that because, like you said, a lot of us as athletes, it's not that we purposely wait, but it's like, okay, I'm done, or unfortunate injury happens, or I retire. Then it's like, what do I do now? Because then you have athletes where, like you said, you're submerged in this bubble of sports your whole life, or the majority of it. And when you stop, sometimes you get the urge to go back. You know, like if you can still do it, if it's not an injury or something that's keeping you off the field or the court, you like, I don't know what I want to do, but let me just go back. Because some people get bored. You know, I've talked to athletes, friends of mine, and like, man, I just got bored, so I went back. It seems to me, not only hearing you speak, but also seeing your interviews, being a part of your interviews, you're truly passionate about this. Like, it's not something that you just came across, or so was it something in you? Was it talks that you had with yourself, or was it somebody else or other people that kind of encouraged you to do this or other things?
Well, I started it, a lot of people didn't know, but I started it maybe back in 2016, but it was just a blog site.
Okay.
And actually one of our ex-teammates, Will Graves, hit me up and he said, look, man, I like what you're doing, but I ain't gonna read all that. You know what I mean? Like straight up, like I'm not reading that, but like you maybe need to do like videos.
Right.
So I took note of it, and then it kind of died down for a while. It didn't do anything. And then recently, Dominic Artis, once again, we will always, stay after, get shots up, cold tub, steam room, and we'll just be talking, chatting. And he was like, look, man, you need to start like, a talk show or something, man. Cause I'll get in the cold tub and to take our mind off of it. I'm like, look, man, who you picking if Grant Hill don't get hurt or Penny Hardaway don't get hurt? Like just stuff like that, just to take our mind off it. He's like, bro, you're asking some good questions. Like you could actually hold a talk show. So I was like, I'm gonna do that when I get back. And then the pandemic hit. And it literally, once again, made me stop. Just like the injury, slowed me down. And I was like, you know what? I've been saying I'm going to start this. Here's my opportunity to start it. Nobody else is doing anything. Everybody else has free time right now. And I just reached out to guys to see, like, man, let me see. I know a lot of people, like yourself. Let me reach out to some guys, see if they'd be cool with doing an interview. And I tried to keep it as much as not an interview as possible. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So really just get on there, and honestly, we just chatting it up, bro, but it's a camera in front of us.
Right.
That's all. And I did the first one, did the second one. I think you were maybe third or fourth. But like after about number 5 or number 6, people start hitting me up like, look, man, I want to get on there, because everybody wants to brag on themselves a little bit. You know what I mean? Especially if you accomplish something that you worked hard for. Not to say people like to brag, but people want a chance to talk their talk and to tell their story, and tell stuff that people maybe not know. Like, oh, the real reason why I did this is because of this, you know? And I try to make it where it's not the, you don't have to say the politically correct thing all the time. So guys, you catch a lot of guys in their natural, you know, just not habitat, but natural, just emotion. And everybody's loved it, man. People have been hitting me up saying, I want to come on, I want to come on, I want to come on. And people feel very comfortable talking about certain things on there with me, because I guess I give off a certain vibe where like, man, we just can chat it up, man. I like get on there. So that's how it started, actually, man. Will Graves. And then 2 years later, Dominic Artis kind of, you know, said it again. And then after that, the quarantine hit, and I was just like, you know what, Jay, just do it. Get out your own way and do it.
And I think that's special, man. What I love about this, I won't hold you too much longer, a few more questions for you, but what I love about this is that, like you said, some people like to talk, they talk, but even if it's not talking, they talk, sharing your story can do so much for people, you know? And sometimes for the person sharing their story, that's like venting. Sometimes it could be, you know, a way to express themselves. But like I've always been told from my parents, it's like, you never know who's watching. And that could be on the court, on the field, off the court, off the field, and in interviews like this. So what we had spoke about briefly before doing the interview, you know, I explained what Dunk Mama Media was, and as far as giving this platform for players to make that transition from playing to different careers or whatever field they might. With that being said, and us having this interview and you being a part of the interview so far, what do you think is most impactful for somebody, or what somebody can gain the most from going to dunkmamamedia.com to see not only your story, but other people's stories? What do you think, not only whether it be parents, athletes, can take from it?
I think, I mean, it just depends, but I honestly think seeing somebody's interview can open your eyes to show that maybe you're not the only person going through what you're going through. I know it's a lot of times like, you know, I've watched an interview or I've watched a sermon online or anything, a motivational speaker with Inky Johnson or, you know, those guys that are pretty popular now on social media. And you never realize how many other people are battling a battle you're battling. And sometimes it sounds like, is he talking to me? Like, bro, like, what led me to watch this interview right now to where I feel like he's talking about me or he's doing the same thing I'm doing? So I think, you know, people being able to see interviews of different people. And, you know, sometimes we're immortalized athletes. You know, people think we're not human. So it's good to let parents see other players, I mean, other interviewees that are going to come on, just to see, because you never know if a parent sees this, they can say something to their kid that's trying to do what the interviewee is doing. Or another interviewee may be about to come on and he can see how, oh, well, this is how he conducted the interview. Or someone watching you that wants to hold an interview with another athlete can say, oh, this is how you hold an interview. So, I mean, it's numerous things that people can take away from an interview, but mostly I think it's just eye-opening to show you're not alone with anything you're battling, where it's good or bad, because you're going to hear so many stories during interviews that is going to allow you to, you know, develop a sense of comfort. Like, okay, I'm doing all right. I just got to keep going.
Right.
Whatever I do, I just got to keep going.
Right. No, I think that's great, man. I want to ask you one more question, Jay. You know, me and you could talk all day, and it's funny that you brought up DA earlier as far as, you know, telling you, man, you ask a lot of good questions, because, you know, we'll be at the crib, we'll be on the phone. You might just hit me with a random text like, man, who you think was a better shooting guard, Kobe or D Wade at this point of their career or this?
Yeah.
So it's fun doing me being the interview and doing the interview on you because this is what you do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I just want to thank you for your time. But the last question I want to ask you is if you could give, well, two questions. I'm sorry. What are you looking most forward to? 2020, we all know has been a crazy year in so many ways. What are you most looking forward to, or what are some of the things you're looking forward to in 2021 for yourself, whether it be personally, career-wise, whatever?
2020 has been crazy, man.
Yeah.
But first, I would like to say I took 2020 as a blessing. Although it's going to sound, some people are going to try to read into it like, what does he mean? Like, it's been so many crazy stuff happening. How can it be a blessing? But 2020 allowed me to stop doing everything I'm doing and stop putting off everything. So we as people so many times say I'll get around to it all the time. I'll get to it.
Yeah.
And then I'll get to it turns into 2 weeks, and it turns into 2 months, and it turns into 2 years. And then it turns into, I need to go do that. And then I need to go do that turns into I'll get around to it. You never do it. So 2020 has allowed me to build a foundation of what I want to continue building in 2021. I don't think anything is going to change for me. Obviously, getting back on the court, and hopefully the pandemic, we can handle that as a group, and allow people to get back to, making, money for themselves with jobs and businesses and athletes and sports, and everything can kind of go back to normal, as well as the voting that's going on right now, dealing with stuff like that. So just building that foundation to catapult myself into 2021 is basically the main thing for me. I don't think anything is going to change. I'm not looking forward to doing anything new. I'm just trying to make sure everything that 2020 made me realize I needed to do now, I can continue to do it in 2021 without being distracted. Once everything goes back to normal. So, or tries to go back to normal. So that's the main thing with me, just staying the course. I think I'm looking, 2021, my main thing for me is stay the course, and just keep building on top of what I'm already trying to build in 2020.
I think that's amazing, to say the least, because not only with you, but the few interviews that I've had thus far, three things or two words that have stuck out in all of the people who have done interviews thus far or with me was balance and in some type of form perseverance. And with your story, you've shared that the whole time since you were in high school, from UNC to after that to doing your own podcast talk show, what's happening right now. And that goes a long way, because I feel like not only athletes, but parents will feel like, well, I brought my son to this workout for 3 years and now he played for that AAU team for 4 years. He deserves a scholarship. She deserves a scholarship. And that's not how it works, because there are a lot of times where you yourself probably could have been like, I'm not doing this no more. Basketball is not that important. I'll do something else. But it was not only something in you, but it was you yourself who found ways to motivate you, like you said earlier, and you persevered through whatever it may be. I guess the last thing I would want to ask you before I let you go, I appreciate your time, Jay, because I know you got other stuff to do.
No problem, man.
If you could leave a word of advice for anybody who may see this interview, no matter what it is, what would it be?
It's not about what you accomplish on your good days. It's about what you accomplish on your bad days. Because anybody can do something on their good day when they're feeling good. Everybody isn't going to do something when they're feeling bad. That's when you get ahead of everybody. That's when you break down barriers or walls or whatever obstacles you want to, however you want to, put them in metaphor frame to make it sound good. But whatever you do on your good day, you have to do on your bad day. Headache. If I ran 2 miles when my head wasn't hurting, I got to run 2 miles when my head is hurting. If I did couple squats when my knees were feeling good. And then I wake up one day and my knee not feeling good. I got to do, I got to do the same thing. I got to do the same thing regardless if I'm having a good day or a bad day.
Right.
That goes academically, that goes athletically, that goes, as far as you want to take it. But someone told me that maybe my second year pro, he's like, if you're going to be a professional, you got to be a professional at everything. And getting something done when you don't feel good is just important, or getting something done when you feel great.
And I think that's great, man. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I'm gonna take that advice you just gave, because somebody asked me one time years ago, and this wasn't dealing with basketball, this is dealing with music. And they asked, what is it that makes somebody professional? And I had to be at least 23, 24, 25. I didn't have the answer, Jay. I just thought, the obvious. Oh, somebody that's well known, somebody that's on TV, somebody that gets paid a lot. He broke it down so simple, basically how you just broke it down, but he was like, a professional is somebody who does their job no matter what's taking place in their life.
Mm-hmm.
And that's deep. And not only deep, it shows you that a professional isn't for everybody.
Yeah, for sure.
That's tough, man. Like you said, on good days, you don't feel like doing certain stuff sometimes.
Exactly.
People, I was just watching The Last Dance again, probably like the 100th time. And to see Mike from the outside do what he did on the court, but then it's like he did that after he broke a foot / ankle, after his father was murdered, after leaving the game for like all of this stuff. Steve Kerr losing his father in college at Arizona. And it's easy to see somebody, holding up trophies and be like, man, I want to be just like them.
Yeah.
But if that person holding that trophy up told you what it took to hold that trophy up,
would you really want it?
You really want it. Yeah. It's special, bro. It's always fun talking to you.
All right, man. Be safe out there.
You too.
All right.